On vacation, my mom called me at midnight. Check your husband's bag. Now. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke, maybe her being overprotective like always, but the urgency in her voice made my stomach drop. I was sitting on the balcony of our small hotel room in Greece. The night air warm, the waves crashing against the shore. My husband was asleep inside, his arm flung across the empty side of the bed, his breathing deep and steady. My hands were shaking as I put the phone down. Why would my mother call me in the middle of the night to say something like that? I replayed her words in my mind. The sharpness, the way she emphasized now, like there was no time to waste. I stood frozen for a few minutes, torn between ignoring it and doing exactly what she said. And then I looked over at the suitcase leaning against the wall. His suitcase. Something about the way it was positioned, zipped all the way up when I knew he had been digging through it earlier, made me nervous. My heart pounded in my ears as I slid off the chair and tiptoed inside, careful not to wake him. I crouched. Next to the suitcase, hesitated, then pulled the zipper slowly. It made that awful scratching sound and I froze, watching his chest rise and fall, praying he wouldn't wake up. When I opened it, at first it looked normal. Shirts, rolled up, shorts, toiletries bag. But tucked underneath the clothes was something that didn't belong. A small black pouch, heavy when I lifted it. My palms were slick with sweat as I unzipped it. Inside, I saw stacks of cash wrapped tightly with rubber bands and a few small envelopes stuffed with what looked like papers. My stomach lurched. Why would my husband be carrying thousands of dollars in cash? Why hadn't he told me? I closed it quickly, my mind racing. My mom's words echoed again. Check your husband's bag. How did she know? What did she know? I didn't want to believe it, but part of me had suspected something was off even before this trip. Strange phone calls he brushed off, long absences, the way he guarded his phone like it was glued to his hand. And now, here it was. Proof. I stood up and went back out onto the balcony, clutching my phone, staring out at the dark ocean. My whole body trembled as I dialed my mom back. She picked up on the first ring and whispered, "You saw it, didn't you?" I whispered into the phone, barely breathing. "What is this, Mom? How did you know?" She was quiet for a second, then said words that made me feel like the ground was gone under my feet. "Because I've seen it before. Your father used to hide the same thing, money and documents he couldn't explain. That's how I knew your husband was lying to you." 2. My chest tightened, and suddenly everything about the last year of our marriage replayed in my head. The random weekend business trips, the expensive watch he wore but never admitted who gave it to him, the way he snapped when I asked about our finances. My mom's voice cut through my thoughts, sharp and urgent. "Emily, listen to me. Don't confront him now. Don't let him know you found it. You need to protect yourself." I turned to glance at him, sleeping peacefully, his face relaxed. Like he had no secrets, no shadows following him. But the truth was spilling out piece by piece, and I couldn't unsee it. My hands shook as I zipped the bag back up, placing everything exactly as it had been, terrified he'd notice. I crawled back into bed, lying stiff beside him, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing so loud I thought it would wake him. All night, I couldn't close my eyes. I kept thinking, what else has he been hiding? Who is he, really? By morning, I was exhausted, but I forced myself to smile when he opened his eyes and kissed my forehead like nothing was wrong. He ordered us breakfast, talked about going sightseeing, acted like the perfect husband, but the black pouch in his bag burned in my memory, a secret I couldn't shake. Later that afternoon, while he was in the shower, I finally opened one of the envelopes from the pouch. My fingers trembled as I slid the papers out. They weren't random notes. They were photocopies of passports, different names, different faces, but all somehow connected. My breath caught in my throat. Who was my husband? And why did he have these? Before I could even think, I heard the water shut off. I shoved everything back, zipped it, and ran out to the balcony, pretending to check my phone. When he walked out in a towel, smiling at me like nothing had changed, I realized my life had just split in two. The life I thought I had, and the truth I was now afraid to uncover. That night, I couldn't stop staring at him across the dinner table. The way he laughed with the waiter, the ease in his voice, the sparkle in his eyes. It was all a mask, and I knew it now. I picked at my food while his phone buzzed twice in his pocket. He didn't even flinch, just excused himself and stepped outside to answer. Through the restaurant window, I saw him standing in the shadows, his expression hard, his voice low and sharp. It wasn't the man I married. It was someone else entirely. My stomach twisted and I wanted to scream, but I kept my face calm when he came back in and said it was just work. After dinner, I excused myself to call Mom again. She answered instantly, as if she'd been waiting. "Emily," she whispered, "you need to get proof. Don't let him drag you down with him. If something happens, you'll need evidence." I asked her what she meant, and she said words that chilled me. "Those envelopes, the cash, they're not just secrets, they're crimes. And if you're with him when it all comes crashing down, they won't care you didn't know." My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. The next morning, I slipped away while he was still sleeping, telling him I wanted to walk along the beach. Instead, I went straight to the hotel lobby, sat down with my laptop, and started taking photos of the documents, every page, every face, every name. My heart raced with every click of the camera. I saved them to a hidden folder, backed them up to the cloud, praying he wouldn't check my phone. When I got back to the room, he was awake, sitting on the bed with his arms crossed. "Where were you?" His tone was sharp, suspicious. I forced a smile and said, "Just walking. The sunrise was beautiful." He studied me for a long moment before nodding slowly, but the way his eyes narrowed made my blood run cold. That night, lying next to him in bed, I barely breathed, thinking, does he already know I found everything? Is he testing me? The next day, while he chatted with tourists at the pool, I checked my email and found something that nearly made me faint. An anonymous message, no subject line, just a single sentence. "He isn't who you think he is. Don't trust him." I stared at the message, my pulse pounding in my ears. My hands trembled so badly I almost dropped my phone into the pool. I glanced over at him, my husband, lounging in the sun, sunglasses on, laughing at something a stranger said. He looked so normal, so charming, so harmless. But someone out there knew the truth, and they knew I needed to hear it. That night, after he fell asleep, I opened the anonymous email again and noticed something I hadn't at first. An attachment. My throat tightened as I clicked it open. It was a blurry photo taken from what looked like an airport security camera. My husband stood in the frame, but he wasn't alone. He was with two men I didn't recognize, and all of them were carrying the same black pouches. My chest constricted, and I felt sick. Who sent this to me? How did they know my email? My mind swirled with questions, but one thing was clear. Whatever he was involved in, it was bigger than I imagined. I forwarded the email to my mom, adding only one line, "What do I do?" The next morning she replied, her words stark and terrifying. "You leave. Quietly. Don't tell him, don't confront him, just leave." But how could I? We were in a foreign country, far from home, and I had no plan, no money of my own. He carried the credit cards, the passports, everything. Still, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. That evening, while he showered, I slipped into the bathroom under the pretense of brushing my teeth and quietly snapped a photo of his passport. My blood ran cold. The name was different. Not just a nickname, not a typo. An entirely different identity. My stomach turned, bile rising in my throat as I stumbled out of the bathroom, my mind screaming, "Who did I marry?" I sat on the edge of the bed, phone clutched in my hand, when the bathroom door opened. Steam rolled out, and he stepped into the room with that same easy smile. But when his eyes met mine, it was as if he could read my thoughts. He tilted his head, studied me in silence for a long moment, then asked softly, "What's wrong, Emily? You've been distracted." My lips parted, but no sound came out. Because in that moment, I realized the truth. If I slipped, even once he would know. And if he knew, I might not make it back home alive. I forced a smile, swallowing the panic clawing at my throat. "I'm just tired," I whispered, my voice steady, though my insides shook. He watched me for a beat too long, then leaned down and kissed my forehead, his lips cold against my skin. That night I lay awake again, every muscle tense, listening to his steady breathing beside me. By dawn, I had made up my mind. I had to get out. Quietly. Carefully. The next morning, while he went down to the lobby to grab coffee, I slipped into the bathroom with my phone and messaged my mom, "Book me a ticket home. Anything. Today." Seconds later, she responded, "Already done. Noon flight. Don't let him see." My heart hammered as I stuffed a few clothes into my small beach bag, leaving the rest behind. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. When he came back, holding 2 cups, I plastered on my calmest smile. "Thought I'd go to the shops today," I said casually. He frowned. "Without me?" I shrugged. "Just want some time alone." His eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering, but then he handed me the coffee. "Don't be long." The moment I stepped outside, my hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the cup. I walked fast, heart slamming in my chest until I reached the street corner. Then I ran. I didn't stop until I was in a taxi, giving the driver cash and whispering, "Airport, please, quickly." As the cab sped through narrow streets, I kept glancing over my shoulder, convinced every car behind us was him. When the airport came into view, relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. As I walked inside, dragging my bag, my phone buzzed. A message from him. "Where are you?" My blood ran cold. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I rushed through security, every nerve on fire. By the time I reached my gate, my legs were trembling so badly I thought they'd give out. Then I saw it. Another email from the same anonymous sender. 3 words that froze me in place. "He's following you." The announcement came over the airport speakers, boarding starting for my flight. My legs felt like stone as I stood, clutching my beach bag so tight my knuckles ached. I moved with the crowd, trying to blend in, my pulse screaming in my ears. Then, just as I handed my boarding pass to the attendant, I saw him. My husband, standing at the far end of the terminal, his eyes locked on me through the sea of people. The blood drained from my face. He started moving forward, fast, pushing past travelers, his expression dark and cold, nothing like the man I thought I married. The attendant scanned my ticket, smiled, and said, "Have a safe flight." My lips parted, but no sound came out. I forced my feet forward, crossing the threshold, my body shaking. Behind me, I heard his voice, low, sharp, furious, calling my name. The doors slid shut between us, and I was on the jet bridge, my breath ragged, my chest tight. I didn't dare look back. On the plane, I sat by the window, my hands trembling so violently I had to grip the armrest. I kept expecting him to appear, to drag me out before takeoff. But the plane pulled away, engines roaring, and as it lifted into the night sky, tears streamed down my cheeks. I thought it was over. I thought I was free. But when I turned my phone on airplane mode off to send a quick message to Mom, I saw one final text waiting for me. It was from an unknown number, just 4 words. "This isn't over, Emily." When the plane landed back home, I felt relief. Rushed through me like I had escaped a nightmare, but that message burned in my mind. I walked through the terminal, gripping my bag like it was armor, scanning every face, terrified he would appear. My mom was waiting just outside security, and the second I saw her, I broke. She wrapped me in her arms, whispering, "You're safe now. You're safe." But even in her embrace, I knew safety was only temporary. That night at her house, I laid out everything. The photos of the passports, the cash, the email, the anonymous attachment. My mom listened, her face pale, her hand gripping mine. Then she said something that changed everything. "We can't go to the police yet. Not until we know who else is involved. If he has that much money and that many identities, he isn't working alone." My chest tightened. She was right. It wasn't just him, it was bigger. The next few days I stayed inside, curtains drawn, every sound outside making me flinch. I kept checking my phone, and every morning there was something new. A text, a blocked call, a voicemail with nothing but silence. He was out there watching, waiting. Then, on the 4th night, I received an envelope under the front door. No return address, no markings. Inside was a single photograph. It was me at the airport, clutching my bag, looking over my shoulder. The note scribbled on the back made my blood run cold. You can't hide forever. I dropped the photo on the table, my hands shaking so violently I could hardly breathe. My mom picked it up, her face draining of color. Emily, this means he's here. He followed you. My knees nearly gave out, and I stumbled into a chair, clutching my temples. How could he know where I was? How did he get that close without me noticing? That night, Mom and I barely slept. Every creak of the house made us jump. I kept checking the locks, pacing from window to window, convinced he was out there in the dark. By morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to the local police station, gripping the folder of evidence I had gathered, the photos of the cash, the passports, the email. My voice shook as I explained everything to the officer, but he listened carefully, his eyes narrowing when he saw the documents. You did the right thing, he said firmly. We've seen activity like this before. Your husband may be tied to something much larger. Fraud, trafficking, even organized crime. We'll open an investigation. His words sent a chill through me, both terrifying and oddly relieving. Finally, someone believed me. When I got home, Mom was waiting by the door, her face tense. Emily, there was a car parked outside the house while you were gone. Black SUV, tinted windows. It didn't move until just before you pulled up. My stomach twisted. He knew. He knew I had gone to the police. And if the officer was right, if my husband wasn't acting alone, then going to the authorities, had just painted a target on my back. That night, the house felt like a trap. Every shadow stretched too long, every sound echoed too sharp. I sat in the living room clutching my phone, the folder of evidence still on the table, while Mom locked every door and double-checked the windows. At 2 a.m., headlights swept across the wall. My chest seized. I rushed to the window, and there it was, the same black SUV idling at the end of the street. I could almost feel his eyes on me through the tinted glass. My mom whispered, "Don't move the curtains. Don't let them know we see." But I knew they already knew. Minutes later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Step outside. We just want to talk." My stomach dropped, my palms damp with sweat. I typed back with trembling fingers, "Leave me alone or I'll call the police." Instantly, another reply came. "You already did. Now it's too late." My mom grabbed the phone from my hand, her voice steady though her face was pale. "We're not answering again." She switched it off and whispered, "Tomorrow we leave. Pack a bag. We'll disappear if we have to." I nodded, but sleep never came. At dawn, when I peeked through the blinds, the SUV was gone. But on the porch sat another envelope. My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside was a single plane ticket with my name printed across it. One way, no return. My husband had bought it. I staggered back, nearly dropping the ticket. My name was printed in bold, the destination a city I had never been to, somewhere far from here, across the ocean. My mom's face went white as she read it. "Emily, this isn't just intimidation. He's trying to move you, control you, make you vanish." My hands trembled as I clutched the paper, bile rising in my throat. Every instinct screamed at me to burn it, to rip it apart, but another thought crept in. If he bought this, it meant he already had a plan. He wasn't bluffing. He wanted me out of the country, away from help, away from anyone who could protect me. By noon, I was sitting in a small office at the police department, the ticket spread across the desk between me and a detective. His jaw clenched as he examined it. "He's escalating. This isn't just fraud or fake passports anymore. This is coercion. Kidnapping in motion." He leaned forward, his voice low but urgent. "You can't stay at your mom's house. It's compromised. We'll move you to a safe location tonight." My stomach flipped, fear and relief twisting together. That evening, plainclothes officers escorted me and Mom into an unmarked car, every streetlight flashing against the windows as we drove in silence. They settled us into a small, nondescript apartment on the other side of town. No neighbors, no familiar faces, no history that could give us away. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sliver of safety, until my phone buzzed again, even though the number had been changed only hours earlier. The message chilled me to the bone. Nice new place, cozy, sleep tight. I dropped the phone like it had burned me, my whole body trembling as the screen lit up with those words. My mom grabbed it, her hands shaking too, and whispered, "Emily, he knows where you are. He found you already." My chest felt like it was caving in, my breath shallow and ragged. How could he have gotten this number? How could he know this address within hours? Unless someone on the inside had told him. My stomach twisted as the thought took root. Had he bribed someone, threatened someone, or was there another leak, someone close to us that we didn't even suspect? That night we sat in silence, too scared to turn on the lights, staring at every shadow that passed by the windows. I kept checking the locks, pacing, my nerves frayed to pieces. Around midnight, I heard something, a soft scrape at the back door. My heart stopped. I froze in place, listening, but the sound didn't come again. My mom and I stayed awake until dawn, every creak of the building making us jump. When the sun finally came up, I decided I couldn't live like this, waiting for the next message, the next knock, the next envelope. I called the detective directly, my voice raw and desperate. "He knows where we are. He's watching me." The silence on the other end of the line stretched too long before he answered. "Emily, I need you to listen carefully. Don't leave that apartment today. We'll move you again tonight, but in the meantime, we're putting surveillance on the place. If he comes near, we'll have him." My stomach knotted. I wanted to believe him, but deep down, I knew my husband wasn't reckless. He was calculating, patient, 2 steps ahead. If he had revealed himself this much, it was only because he wanted me to know he could reach me anywhere. Daksh. Hours crawled by, each one heavier than the last. I tried to distract myself by scrolling through my phone, but every corner of it reminded me of him. Old photos, trips we had taken, messages we had exchanged that now felt poisoned. I couldn't believe I had once trusted this man enough to marry him, to share a bed with him, to let him hold me when I was vulnerable. Who was he really, and why me? By afternoon, there was a knock at the door. My mom and I froze. 3 short taps. Not the police, they would have announced themselves. My blood ran cold. I motioned for my mom to stay quiet as I crept to the peephole. My heart slammed against my ribs. There, on the doorstep, lay another envelope. But this time, instead of being left discreetly, it was wedged into the crack of the door itself, almost forcing its way inside. I stared at it, terrified to even touch it. But eventually, I pulled it free and slid it open with trembling fingers. Inside was a single photograph again. Only this time, it wasn't of me. It was of my mom. Taken from outside the window of the very room we were sitting in now. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped it. Across the back, scrawled in black marker, were 4 words. "She can't save you." I staggered back, bile rising in my throat, and my mom's face turned gray when she saw it. She clutched my arm, whispering, "Emily, we have to get out. Right now." I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. "We can't. They're watching us. If we step outside, they'll grab us." My mom's hands were cold, her fingers digging into mine, and for the first time since this began, I saw pure fear in her eyes. The same woman who had been my anchor, my voice of reason, was shaking just as badly as I was. That night, the police, surveillance team parked outside, their unmarked cars watching the street. But even with them there, I couldn't sleep. Every sound of the building settling, every gust of wind outside felt like a warning. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed again, even though I had shut it off hours before. The screen lit up with a notification from a number I didn't recognize. With trembling hands, I opened it. A video began to play, grainy, shaky, like it had been filmed through a window. It was me, sitting at the kitchen table just an hour. Earlier, my face pale and tired, my hands clutching a mug of tea. I dropped the phone, my breath catching in my throat. He wasn't just watching me. He was inside the building. By morning, the police moved us again, this time to an even more secure location, a place they swore was safe. But as I sat on the narrow bed in that unfamiliar room, my body exhausted but my mind racing, I knew the truth. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't rest until he had me back under his control. And no matter how many locks or walls they put between us, he had already shown me he could find me anywhere. I stared at my reflection in the small mirror. Across the room, my face pale and hollow, and whispered to myself, "This isn't survival anymore. This is war." This story was created by me. I'm the author behind the channel Revenge with Sarah. If this story kept you on edge, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Emily's place? Your thoughts mean the world to me.